Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Daniel Clayton. I'm the Technical Director for Heidelberg Concrete, and I'm going to talk to you about our carbon data and can you trust our carbon data. On the introduction. So, starting with why. What we're seeing, a lot of our clients, the owners, the specifiers, the designers are committing to net zero 2030, 2050 goals. So to achieve their goals, they need to have reliable, trustworthy, measurable data to track that progress. And when we talk about data, what we're really interested in is this concept of A1 to A3. So in an environmental product declaration you get for a product, you get a whole load of sustainability data. But for concrete and cement and their sort of materials, it's this A1 to A3, which is where you get the global warming potential data from. And the reason why they're so interested is that, as you can see from a cement kiln and a GGBS blast furnace here, the CO2 emissions are coming from the cement, primarily from the fuel and the calcination of the limestone. So how do we provide you with the reliable data? So first of all, we look at our cement business. We spoke a bit about it earlier today. We have CO2 emitted from the fuel and from the limestone during the manufacture of cement. We monitor this the whole time through our process, and what we've done is we verify our data through a third party, and then in 2024 we published an EPD for our cement. And that's, you can see the numbers published there. For this A1 to A3 global warming potential, the CO2 of the cement is 804 gross, 693 net. And that's a really important thing to understand, in that there's two values in a cement EPD, gross and net. And net, in the net value, you can subtract the CO2 contribution of identifiable waste. So that means if you're taking plastics, timber, things like that, and burning it through, something that would go to landfill, you can subtract the CO2 value. Why that's important is when you're getting a value for your concrete of CO2, if someone gives you the cement gross number in the calculation or the net number, you can get two different values. So as someone who's trying to measure their carbon, it's important to understand that there are two different values in a cement EPD and hence in a concrete calculation. So if you're comparing two different concrete suppliers, you need to ask the question, are you using the gross number or the net number? Otherwise you're not comparing the same value. Ground granulated blast furnace slag. There was a presentation earlier today. This is the SCM that we at Heidelberg in the UK use. It's a byproduct of the iron manufacture. And then we can use it to supplement or substitute our cement to lower the carbon intensity in a concrete. So what you have in the EPD that we've published for this material, transportation, drying and grinding, and a really important thing, economic allocation. So the A1 to A3 in our EPD is 155. That's currently the highest you'll find in an EPD for GGBS in the UK. And that's because we have this economic allocation factor included. So what's happened is the steel industry has lobbied and is now allocating a portion of the CO2 from the iron manufacturing process to the GGBS. So why that's important is that this is only a recent event. So you could have an EPD telling you 80 kgs and for the same material 155 because the economic allocation hasn't been added. So it's important to ask that question and understand that you need the economic allocation in any GGBS EPD to make sure you've got the truest, most representative number for your carbon data. And then when we look at concrete, one of the challenges you have in the world of ready-mix concrete is that we carry thousands of recipes and thousands of mix designs. An EPD is meant to be a product verified designation of the environmental characteristics, and that takes time and money. So what we do is we've taken national numbers and produced a series of EPDs for common strength classes and common cement and combination types as a point of reference for our customers who need EPD data, because in EPD it's got the global warming potential, but it also has full life cycle and other information that people will be interested in. So the A1 and A1 to A3 are published in there. We also, in our EPDs, we publish the gross reference number and the net reference number based on those two different cement inputs. So clients have that data to use. But to make it easier, what we've done in the concrete business is we provide the customers with an indicative GWP A1 to A3 number at quote stage. So we calculate that based on the provisional mix designs that we're going to give a client to say that this is the carbon intensity of your mix. We can also offer them this scorecard type display. And what we're doing there is we're displaying the carbon intensity of the mix against the ERUP benchmarking scheme, because a lot of customers want to use a scheme like this to say, right, I'm currently using a D-rated mix. How do I move it to an A mix? Can I use it? Can you offer me a lower carbon concrete? Can we talk about what I'm doing on site to decarbonise my project? And here we also display the gross and net number. The other thing we're able to do is post-project, we can give you a carbon scorecard. And what that is, that's actually based on the actual delivered concrete. So obviously when you're batching concrete, you have overways, underways, adjustments in a batch plant. So we actually do that at a load level. So at the end of your project, we can give you a carbon scorecard by load that will give you an accurate representation of the carbon you've had delivered to your project, which is really important, because what customers are telling us is that, particularly specifiers, that they set quite a high carbon bar at the start of a project, but by the end of the project they know there's been lots of deviations and adjustments through the build, and maybe they didn't quite achieve their even agreed to specifications through the line of contract. So we're able to give them some post-delivery information there. And the great news is what we've done is we've had a third party come in and look through our process of calculations, our data points against EN 15804, which is the EPD European standard, and we've had our process verified so that we can generate this number for every mix we put on our quote, and the process itself is verified. So instead of having to produce independent EPDs, which is expensive, time consuming, we can actually give you live data that is verified to the right process. And where are we moving to now? So you've heard about Evo Zero today, which is our net-free cement, net zero cement. We've got our Evo Build concrete range, which is where we're building a range of concretes to really drive lower carbon concretes. And these are great because it gives us a way to engage with the customers. I was with a customer this morning. We were talking about build program. We were talking about trialing mixes before build to try and open the gate on low carbon projects. The other part we're working on is our data integration. We recognise that EPDs are a valuable tool, and for some projects people do still need a full document, so we're looking at how we can integrate our data to automate our EPD generation to give people more information around EPD level earlier in let's say earlier in the consultation process and the quoting process and the tender process. And that's it for me on can you trust our carbon data? Hopefully the answer is yes.